Pro Group Racing, show us your tips, Daggy and Beaver, with you on the heels of quite a fruitful weekend, Beaver. Some double-figure winners all over the place, quaddies in both states, so a nice result all around.
Yeah, look, kept the punters happy there, mate. Got a few bit of feedback as well from the punters, and they were pretty happy with what we had to offer. I think Acceleration was a value bet that I tipped about $10. Was a really good result. I think you also
yeah, it looks like Elvis was a very nice win
Elvis.
And a very nice result when it was one of my bigger bets on the day. So tie that up with I think it was a best part of a $5,000 quaddie and a bit of value in Queensland.
Yeah,
good day all
passive
round.
Aggressive was very good. In the last, as you said, we got the last winner with passive aggressive. Looked like Elvis won the second last at $15. I think you had Jimmy the Bear as one of your key chances. Paid $8. Acceleration, I had tens. Yeah, there's some good ones in there. Belarus, you were all over, and they backed it off the map. It was a good result. Maserati Bay, you got us off to a flyer there, which got out to very respectable odds, about the 450s. So Flemington was a bit of an outstanding day. If you followed us there, you would have lined the pockets.
Absolutely. And the only time I was kicking myself was for not, I sort of just at the end of the day didn't follow the price out with Authoric. I didn't bet in the race, and wish I had of. But anyway.
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one, that, because they backed Ingratiating off the map, and it got way out of its ground where it couldn't win. It was a huge run, but we had Altharic. Gypsy Goddess was amazing. Just nutted Bar Raider was just too good. So that was a good win. Baller, I think I put us on the Baller about 650. So this overall Boom Nova was very good. Never looked like getting beat. So, yeah, overall political debates snuck home. And you had Francesco Guardia, I think, as well. So yeah, there's loads.
Day. The bank account looks much healthier. So good times all around. And we'll double down again this week, hopefully, and get into the Stradbroke. But for now, that's enough pissing in our pocket. As I said, thanks for all the kind feedback. And if you haven't, subscribe and stick around, and hopefully you might find another winner or two today. Well, we're heading to Canterbury. The rail's in a 6-metre mark. It is currently heavy. The sun's out. There's been plenty of wind. So I assume I'm hoping it gets to a softish track. Rail 6, I'm thinking it's rails. Fence, you're looking for fence leaders and fencing run for the best part until I've seen otherwise. So sort of how I treated it, which is tricky in some of these races. It might not matter in some races too, where there's smaller fields. But we kick off with the 2-year-old fillies over the 1,200 metres. And how are you going to open the batting today?
Yeah, look, not an easy way to start the day by any means. A few unraced and a few lightly raced. I just thought maybe it had to be Zoo. The first starter might be hard to beat. Trialled nicely at Hawkesbury after a few pretty easy trials, which it showed enough, but looks to be tuned up for this with having had 4 trials, albeit over the last 6 months. Might be the hardest beat.
Yeah, it was a very nice trial. The concern I had was gate 11, John Thompson at Canterbury, where he was going to get to. So that was a main concern. I went looking for Uncorked with the standout, the obvious form there, just getting nutted by Russian Conquest and then starting favourite and getting grabbed by Fireburn first 2 starts before going to the Gold Coast. Trials were first trial was right. Second trial wasn't really asked for a lot. So I didn't actually know what to make of it. So, and I just see it's quite on the drift this morning. I did have it on top. Gate 13, Tim Clark, I thought would go forward, but there is some other Gate Waterhouse runners here, so I didn't think it'd get. I don't think we're going to go overly fast, but that was where I started. The Wallow trialer, and then the Ithadtobezou added too many questions for me. But if Uncorked gets to a reasonable price, I think I will have what is already a reasonable price. I think I have a small event on it, but nothing super keen, whatever all that means. Race 2 is the 3-year-old maiden plate over the 1250, where I liked, what did I like here? I like the trials of Valoria. I'm hoping goes forward from out wide. again. But wet track, the Maurices seem to get through the wet quite well, as it's sort of low action that I think will get through the wet pretty well. That skipping kind of action in the trials. And had it on top. I was concerned about Karishi, who's done all its prep work in Queensland for the Wallace stable and turns up here with J-Mac. Not sure it gets in a run. So Valoria on top, but again, question marks. What have you done?
Yeah, look, pretty much the same as you. I thought similarly, I did have a big question mark over Karishi, who had its trials up on the Gold Coast and then comes here. For that reason, I probably just flipped them and put it on top, the McDonald-Waller combination, but also thought Valoria had shown enough to run well.
Race 3 is 1,100 metres, 2 and 3-year-old maiden. Plenty on debut. Could you find any of them?
Yeah, I went for the one that they've put the money on here from the Waller camp. Operative. Thought its trial was pretty good. Beat them comfortably last start in its trial by three to 4 lengths. Prior to that, wasn't really tested, just plotted around. So they tuned it up with a really good trial last start. That's probably why it's been backed. And of the unraced lot here, it probably doesn't have to be overly good to beat those.
Yeah, I'm thinking that last trial was fantastic. Got through the ground well. I think it'd be close enough here where, and even in this field, it might not matter the way it won that trial. So on top for me as well, I think it's the only horse I would entertain backing, and I probably will. I think it might have a bit of talent. Race number 4 is the first of the staying races, 1,900 metres, benchmark 72, where I really liked the return of Tinny Winnie, which we sort of missed a little bit last time in, but rolled to the front, found a fence, ran away and won well. J-Mac sticks, gets the same setup, and I think we'll do the same thing, Beaver.
Yeah, look, I thought the same as well. I thought $3 wasn't a bad price. Tinny Winnie, I think it's going to be hard to run down. It'll jump and run and should only be fitter.
Race 5 is the 1,100 metre benchmark 72. What have you done here?
Yeah, look, these 3 middle races, I was pretty keen on the 3 favourites, Operative, Tinny Winnie, and now Barticelli resuming here from the Thompson stable. Last time in, last prep, was pretty good. It's run before it went out, ran a very good second to Q Royale, who has recently won in town. So it led, it should jump and run here. It's been tuned up with 2 nice trials that were pretty good. I think it's going to be really hard to beat as well.
Yeah, I agree. Not much to add, and I like the gate. If the rail's going to play the way it's going to be, it should sit right on leader's back, and even luck, I think, should win. So not much more to add there. Bowman should be able to extract him from there. Race 6, 1,100 metre, mares 72. I thought, a little bit tricky. I've ended up finding Sunborn, based a little bit off gate 1. I'm hoping can plonk leaders back and have last shot. Has been selling a bit further back, but I'm hoping Bowman will have the bias worked out by now. And a lot of the pace in this race just isn't any good. Not a lot of talent in front of it. So I'm hoping even luck can be in the finish. I thought Laprise might be the main danger, who may well has found the front in the past, and J-Mac won't mess around. But I think there's a long tail on this one. What have you done?
Yeah, there is. It's an interesting race. I think this is super open, so really hard to get a guide through the form. I've narrowed it down to 2, a little bit of odds. I've gone on top. I called Uni home. Thought it might lead, come across, and its runs at Goulburn have been pretty good. First up, won pretty comfortably, and I thought that was a decent enough run at Goulburn. And I always think that sometimes the Goulburn form can come to the city and stack up. And then prior to that, had been very consistent as well. So I'm thinking here it can jump and run and may give them something to chase. But if the pace is on and it's set up for a back marker, I think Zane's Girl can run home really, really powerfully as well. Has a good finish on it. It'll go back, gets a 2 kilo claim here. It also could be a knockout chance. So I was sort of playing those ones around the 8s to 10s.
Yeah, Map could set up 1,000-meter horse here up to 1,100. Could have set up really well if it finds a front journey, actually. I dismissed it a little bit, but that's a good find. And maybe a good omen bet after the Great Rabbits retired this week. Speaking of omen bets, race 7, 1,500-meter benchmark 72 finishes the day. Having anything on your mate Tupou there from one of your stables?
No, thank you. Like this one is again really hard to line up because you've got the 3 Waller horses that are all looking for extra ground. They've all had the one start back. They all ran quite well in their last start. I'm going to stick with Kirkby. I tipped it last start. There was enough to like about its first up run. McDonald sticks here. It was well found in the market last start, and the second run over this distance will certainly suit it. Its trial was good enough. It could be one of the Wallers to look out for. If I was backing the Danger Black Queen, I think is the other best chance of the Waller stable, but Kirkby on top for me.
Yeah, I had them as the 2 main ones and didn't really like the map. I thought Black Queen may be closer to the lead. So had it on top from its stablemate, but tricky race, maybe something tiny on the Perry runner, who will find a fence and has been going through the wet okay up in distance, but we'll see how that pans out. Tricky day at Canterbury. We'll see how the bias does play throughout the afternoon. Do you have a best in value for us?
Yeah, my best comes up in race 4, number 5, Tinny, Winnie. And my value is in the first race, the first starter. Ithadtobezou.
Beautiful. I'm making my best Tinny, Winnie as well. It all sets up very nicely there. And a tricky day for value, I'll make it Sunborn, I think, in race number 5. Not race number, 5. We head to Sale for the support card on a heavy track where we kick off. Sale tends to play okay. I think you want to be running on by the end of the day, but we kick off with a pair of jumps races. Are you across all the jumps for them?
I'm across a little bit of it, Daggy. Sometimes it's a bit hard to line up, particularly the first race here. But I'm going to go the Paddy Payne first favourite here. It's had a trial a couple of starts back over this distance, then ran last at Cranbourne. So hard to line up here, but Paddy Payne's put him over the jumps, has had some jumps racing in New Zealand, and it's performed admirably there. So I think it's an out-and-out hurdler. When they back him from the Paddy Payne stable over the jumps, they usually run well.
I'll watch these first couple, but the second's also another hurdle where Payne has a favourite again. Any interest there?
Yeah, I think again probably stick with Paddy Payne in the first 2 with the hurdles. About 3 starts back at Casterton, won nicely in the hurdles, but then stepped up in a little bit higher quality hurdle races since then. Can run better this time around, and again, hard to beat.
Race 3 is the steeplechase on the card where I may get involved. Well, we'll get involved because Valac is 3 from 5 over the jumps, was travelling quite well when it fell in the Brierly, comes here and I think is a talented jumper. So I will be backing it in this one. Any dad?
No, not really here. This is a pretty weak steeplechase. You're right, it was travelling well in the Brierly, but then fell. The second favourite runaway, I just can't back. So if you were going to have a bet here, it hasn't got much ticker runaway. So Valac might be a standout.
Yeah. Race 4 is 1,108 metre 2-year-old race where I went through this and couldn't really find anything I wanted to stamp. And especially after scratchings, a couple I was going to talk about have come out. So not much here for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, I was a little bit the same for you. The only one I had a bit of a watch on was the Cummings horse resuming. It started in a pretty good race at Flemington in January, which was won by Lofty Strike, which has got plenty of talent. and then was put out and comes back here. So I suspect it needed a little bit more time. Based off that, I think with Oliver board at the $6 might be the hardest to beat.
And being gelded. So, yeah, interesting on that one. Race 5 is a 1200 meter class 1 at benchmark 58, where my notes here read, what the hell? And just checking the scratchings, a couple of odds I may play in a very, very tricky race. Catalina Black Cat off a nice win, should roll forward here. Lady Hampton, similar, very lightly raced and comes back off a win. And that's about it, but very tricky race. You found anything?
Yes, I agree. Very tough race here. I went for a bit of value. I went for the Snowden Fateela resuming here. It's only had the 4 starts. Ran well its first start and then came out and won its second start as favourite. And then after that, it was a little bit disappointing at Pakenham and in those 2 starts, but it was in a much better graded races than this, and showed enough speed and talent in those races. Given a freshen up for this, I think it could be hard to beat. And I think you're right, Lady Hampton, the main danger.
Race 7, a benchmark 64. What have you done here?
Yeah, look, I think we get to our best bet of the day here. He's on form from the Paints table, ultra consistent, continues to improve. Flew home last start from back in the field, carrying hefty 63.5, gets in here 58.5. I think it can be hardest to beat again, racing in some decent races. So this looks right up its alley.
Yep, I don't like the fact with him, with Pat Payne, he doesn't tend to mess around. If he thinks they're a stayer, they get out to the distance pretty early, lightly raced. It looks like the extra 200 metres will be right up its alley, and lack of opposition. All good for me. Race 7 is a 736 metre benchmark 64, where the only one I would entertain, and I can see it's been backed actually, is the Mark Maroney, New Jersey, who won its maiden well enough on debut. Don't think it's any sort of a star, but hit the line well, up in distance, will suit as well. And all the rest of these are all quite well exposed. But yeah, that's about it for me. What have you made of it?
Yeah, no, I've gone for Shadow Hawk from the Busted and Young stable. Thought its first up run wasn't too shabby at Sale. So same track here. Came home, hit the line quite nicely. Knew it stays on board here, going pretty good, and I expect it to improve a bit more and be right in the finish here. I think you'll get a sight.
And we wrap up the day with a 1,419 metre benchmark 64. What have you got?
Yeah, look, I've settled on the second favourite here from the Payne stable. So I think Payne stable will have a really good day. Sizzling Sonata ran second to Passive Aggressive, 1.3 lengths last start. That's a really good run for this. A really good form line for this race, and I think if it can run up to that, it'll be super hard to beat. I thought it just presented a little bit better value than the favourite, but I thought it was a little bit skinny, but obviously got some ability and won well last start.
Yeah, I'm with the favourite. It's won its last 2 by a combined 20 lengths or so. Going okay. You've mentioned Sonata, who I agree that's a nice form set up for this, and by this stage, we'll know how well the inside's holding up here for it, was a concern by this time. The other one at odds, which deductions have taken a bit of hit in the price that I sort of was going to mention, was Sacred Command, who is unlucky. He's been unlucky in Sydney, but in a previous prep has finished a length off Waiter, not far off likes of Green Flash and Too Much to Bear when that horse was going okay, and does now resume down in Melbourne in a sale 64. So I thought might offer some value, but after deductions, it's half the price here. Would be the watch runner for me, probably on the card on a card where I'm struggling to find much else to talk about. So I'm going to make my best, as I believe you probably will too when we get to you, is he's on form for Paddy Payne, and my value is Sacred Command, with a bit of an eye on the couple I mentioned in race 5, Catalina Black Cat and Lady Hampton. But tricky day down at Sale. Your best in value for Pro Group Racing?
Yeah, my best is also He's on Form, race number 6, course 3. And my value comes up in race 5, number 14, Fateela, about the $15 mark.
Oh, lovely. Very good. What have you got for us at Doomben?
Yeah, Doomben, I think I've found a few, as I always do, up at Doomben. Just got to go back here. Going back, I'll start back later in the day here. My best one comes up in race 8, number 15, Sinbar.
Oh, there she is.
Which I found that one for you, Daggy. I know you were looking for that.
Yeah.
In race 7, number 3, Colleagues, resuming today. It's about the $5 to $6 mark, so I think you get a little bit of value there. And then in race 4, number 4, Fetch, about the $2, about the $5 to $4, $6 to $4 mark.
Lovely. We'll be having something on Sinbar for those that followed it last week. Very good, Beaver. Good punting this afternoon. Good punting, punters. And I'll see you tomorrow night to talk all. Are you got a tip for us in Origin before I go?
Mate, look, I'll tip the Blues just because that's what you do. But I think it'd be a really close game. And I think both teams with some of the selections have given each other a show. So be an interesting match. And yeah, hopefully enjoy the game.
Yeah, I'm with the Blues. I think their bigger forward pack and Cleary's kicking in the wet will be the difference today. But I think Queensland will be very, very hard to beat once they get to Perth. Drier track and a bit of a more mobile team. But we'll get to that down the road. Good punting, punters. We'll talk to you very soon when we preview Stradbroke Day. Catch you then.